Ladies and gentlemen, the trades are hot lately. Kyle Tucker heading to the Cubs and Devin Williams going to the Yankees in the same day. So in this video, I'm going to go over some more trades that I want to see. Let's get to it. With Kyle Tucker heading to the Cubs, I think it's just right to start this off with Cody Bellinger heading to the Yankees. I mean, it's a perfect fit. They lost Juan Soto, so they're going to need another bat. And sure, Bellinger did have a bit of a dip in the numbers this past year after a very good bounce-back season in 2023. But I think if you put him at Yankee Stadium, you're going to see some better numbers. 24 expected home runs this year compared to the 18 that he had if he were at Yankee Stadium. And with Bellinger, he can play outfield or first base. First base is a bit of a question mark right now. You got Ben Rice, you got DJ LeMahieu as options, but if needed, Bellinger can play there. So I think it's a great fit overall. Now, for a trade, we got Bellinger and $10 million of cash heading back to the Yankees, so that way the Cubs can get back something in return. So I have them getting Everson Pereira, the number 10 prospect, and Tristan Vryling, the number 29 prospect. Now, with Everson Pereira, he did miss a bit of time this year, but overall, though, this is a guy that has some power upside. He's good defensively. He's a good athlete. I think that would be a good outfielder for the Cubs to get back in return. And Tristan Vryling, the number 29 prospect, not a lot of velocity, but he has some decent breaking stuff. I think going to a Cubs system where they've emphasized trying to increase velocity, trying to get the stuff a little bit better, I think that would be a good home for him. But in the end, I think Bellinger for the Yankees, it makes too much sense. Sticking with the Cubs, and I would love for them to acquire Jesus Luzardo. Now, with Luzardo, he did miss a lot of time this past year with a back injury, only 12 starts. Numbers weren't very good overall. ERA at a 5, FIP at a 4.26. But when healthy, he's one of the better pitchers in the game. If you go back to 2023, he put up great numbers. 32 starts, right around 180 innings pitched, ERA at a 3.58, FIP at a 3.55, 10.5 strikeouts per 9. Now, again, the back injury is a bit of a concern, but I'd say that's better than having an arm injury. I think he's going to be fine going into 2025, normal offseason, normal spring training. I think he'd be a great addition for the Cubs rotation. Now, that's a lot of lefties, but I kind of like the chaos of having all these lefties. You'd have Luzardo, Imanaga, Steele, Boyd. I love the chaos. Let's get Luzardo in here. And with the Marlins, they would be able to get back a decent package here. Now, the Cubs did just get Kyle Tucker. Who knows if he ends up staying in the long term, but I think this could be a good chance for the Marlins to get back a highly projectable bat in Owen Casey. The Marlins are completely in rebuild mode. They're trying to acquire bats. I think Owen Casey, with the high upside he has with the power, the number 2 prospect in their system, I think he would be a great fit for the Marlins. At 847 OPS overall this past year, a 472 on the slugging, has a 65 power tool. That would be a great get for the Marlins. If not Owen Casey, maybe you could do something with Kevin Alcantara, something like that. But along with Casey, I have Jordan Wicks. He hasn't really been able to figure it out in Chicago. He was a former first-round draft pick. Not great numbers overall, but maybe a change of scenery can help him out. That would give the Marlins a lefty back in return that's also under a lot of club control. And I also have Pedro Ramirez going back in this deal. Number 10 prospect in their system, has a very good hit tool, 55 on the hit, had a pretty good year in the minors this year. Not a lot of power, but hit 284, had a 348 on base, a 729 OPS overall. He can move around in the infield. I think this would be a great get for the Marlins. And Luzardo, if healthy, I think would be a big boost for the Cubs rotation. Up next, I would love for the Mets to acquire Luis Castillo. Now, with Castillo, he's owed over $70 million over the next 3 seasons, plus a vesting option on top of that. And reportedly, the Mariners are looking to cut some payroll, so that way they can go get a bat on the market to help improve their lineup. And who better than the Mets to take on some money? They got all the money in the world. And I think Castillo would be a good option for them. Now, the numbers have regressed a little over the last couple of years, but he remains very steady. 30 starts this past year, 175 and a third innings pitched, ERA at a 3.64, FIP at a 3.91, right around 9 strikeouts per 9. Now, with the Mets, they have added a couple of guys here in Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes. With Montas, he is a bit of a question mark with the health. Didn't really have a great year, but let's see if he can take a step forward. And Clay Holmes, he's been in the bullpen, so who knows you're going to get out of him. With Castillo, at least you know you're you're going to get a guy that you can depend on, that you can give the ball to every fifth day. So in this trade, I have Paul Blackburn heading back to the Mariners along with their number 10 prospect, Jonah Tong. Now, for the Mariners, Paul Blackburn, not really a sexy name, but at least they get a pitcher back in return that they could have for depth at least. And Jonah Tong, good pitching prospect in the Mets system. Number 10 overall, has a big fastball, 65 grade, and a big curveball along with that at a 55. So for the Mariners, though, the big thing is they're clearing salary, right? They're looking for a team to just take on the remaining contract of Luis Castillo. And the Mets, they could probably take it on without having the Mariners having to pay any of it. So I think that's the biggest thing here. But for the Mariners, if they could do that while also getting a guy that could help them in 2025, along with a pretty good pitching prospect, I think that would be a big win for the Mariners. Now, another idea that I have, Mariners fans are probably not going to like this one, but it's just an idea. Maybe you could do some kind of a deal with Brett Baty. He's kind of lost his way over the last couple of years, hasn't really figured it out at the major league level. Former top prospect. He has potential. I think maybe a new home, a change of scenery could maybe help him a little bit. And the Mariners could use a third baseman. I don't know, just an idea. I know Mariners fans are probably not going to like that one. But either way, I think Castillo would be a great fit with the Mets. Let's get back to the Astros, and I would love to see Nolan Arenado head to Houston. Now, I would love for my Red Sox to make a play for Arenado because they really need to improve the defense at third base. But since I predicted this trade a little while ago, I'm going to stick with it, even though the Astros did just get back Isaac Paredes in the Kyle Tucker trade. But with Paredes, he can move to first base, and Arenado can go to third. Now, when it comes to Alex Bregman, he's probably going to be on his way out of town, just like Carlos Correa and George Springer before him. So the Astros are going to need someone at third base, especially since they're still in a competitive window. And like Paredes, Arenado, his power has been regressing over the last couple of years, only 16 home runs and a .394 slugging this past year. He would be a great fit at Minute Maid Park with the Crawford boxes. I think that would be amazing for Arenado. Get that power going a little bit more, giving you some good defense at third base. I think it would be a great fit. Now, with Arenado, you also got to remember he's got a big contract. It's an underwater contract at this point. So I think the Cardinals are going to have to pay a little bit of it to get back some talent in return. So in this deal, I have Arenado and $24 million of cash. That's $8 million per season over the next 3 years. And back to the Astros, we got Zach Cole and Pedro Leon. Now, Zach Cole is the number 7 prospect in their system as of right now. Not a great hit tool, but has power upside. He's a good athlete, has a good arm as well. I think that would be a solid outfielder for the Cardinals to get back in return. And we got Pedro Leon. He has a bit of versatility. He can play in the infield. He can play in the outfield. He's a good athlete as well, has a good arm, so that could be a good versatile player for the Cardinals to get back in return. Now, with Arenado, again, I think it'd be a great fit with the Astros. It gives them a guy over the next few years as they still try to stay competitive. Up next, I have Luis Robert heading to the Reds. Now, we know the deal with Robert. When he's healthy, he's a great player, but the problem is he has trouble staying on the field. Had a hip injury this year, only 100 games played, threw his numbers all out of whack, only hit .224, a .278 on base, a .379 slugging, an 84 WRC+. But like I said, when he's healthy, he could do some damage. Back in 2023, had a great season, had a .542 slugging, a .128 WRC+, 38 homers, 20 stolen bases, good defense in the outfield. He's a solid player when healthy. Now, I could see a situation where the White Sox would like to hang on to him so he can try and restore his value, but there's risk there because if he gets hurt again, well then his trade value is going to completely plummet. So I could see the White Sox trying to move him while they still can. And I think the Reds would be a good trade partner because they could use a little bit more pop in this lineup. And they got a lot of young position players that they could look to move to give them a bit more flexibility. And the White Sox going into a rebuild, I think they could use one of these guys. And one guy I got my eye on is Noelvi Marte, former top prospect, but he got busted for PEDs not too long ago. He came back, had a dreadful season, but there's a lot of upside with Noelvi Marte. So back to the White Sox in this deal, we got Noelvi Marte and a couple of prospects. We got Hector Rodriguez and Luke Hayden. Hector Rodriguez is the number 12 prospect in their system as of right now. He's a good athlete, has a decent bat, could be some upside down the road. And we also have the number 29 prospect, Luke Hayden. Luke Hayden was just drafted recently in the 8th round, has good velocity, could be a good pitcher for the White Sox to get back in return. But in the end, I would love to see the Reds get an impact bat. You know, they're going to have trouble going out there in free agency and spending big money. So if they can get back a guy like Robert, who has a lot of upside if he stays healthy, along with a team-friendly contract, I think that could be a pretty good fit. Let's get back to some pitching with Dylan Cease, and why not the LA Angels? I know that might sound crazy, but even after adding Yusei Kikuchi, I still think they need to add something alongside him, and the Angels say they want to compete this year, so why not just go for it? Cease would be perfect, in my opinion, coming off a great season in his one season with the Padres, 33 starts, 189 and a third innings pitched, ERA at a 3.47, FIP at a 3.10, over 10 strikeouts per nine, a 4.8 F4 overall. He would be the clear-cut ace for the Angels going into 2025. Now, when it comes to Dylan Cease, he is going to be a free agent after this year. He's a Scott Boras client, and with the Padres, they've been having some payroll concerns as of late, so I would think it's probably best for them to move on from Dylan Cease at this point, get back some talent while you still can before he hits free agency. And I think the Padres can get back a decent package for him, and I think the Angels would be a good trade partner. So in this deal, I got Dylan Cease for the Angels, and back to the Padres, we got Taylor Ward, Reed Detmers, and a prospect, Josue Lugo. Now, Taylor Ward would be the leading guy here. He's been a solid guy over the last few years now. He's been a solid bat. He mashes left-handed pitching, and with the Padres, Jerickson Profar is a free agent now. They could use someone out in left field, something for the lineup to replace him. Now, Reed Detmers is the interesting one here. Former first-round draft pick, has good stuff. He just has not been able to figure it out with the Angels. I think a change of scenery can do him some good. The Padres, they've done well with their pitching over the last few years. I think a new home would be good for him. Has club control, not a free agent until after 2028. So that could be a good guy with some upside for the Padres to get back in return, especially if Dylan Cease is going to leave town. And then we got one more guy here. We got Josue Lugo. This guy is very far away. International signing not too long ago. Has some good power upside. A good prospect for the Padres to stash away down the road. Again, Dylan Cease to the Angels sounds crazy, but I like chaos. I want the Angels to do something big. Let's see if you can do it, right? The Angels, they say they want to compete. Well, go out there and compete. Go land someone like Dylan Cease. And last but not least, I would love to see Jared Jones head to the Orioles. Baltimore has been rather quiet this offseason, minus the signing of Tyler O'Neill, but I'd like for them to emerge and pull off a big trade for Jared Jones. Now, Paul Skeens got all the attention last year with the Pirates, but Jones was very good despite missing a little bit of time with a lat injury. 22 starts, ERA at a 4.14, FIP at a 4.00, just under 10 strikeouts per nine, under 3 walks per nine. Jared Jones has a lot of potential, has very good stuff. Now, I'm not sure what the Orioles are going to do here with Corbin Burnes. I think they need to bring him back, be the ace of the staff for years to come, but if they're not going to spend the money, then I think they need to go out there and get a young, club-controlled guy that can fit into their competitive window here with all of this young talent they have. I think Jared Jones would be a great fit, and I think they have a perfect guy to send back in Heston Kjerstad. Heston Kjerstad, former first-round pick. The Pirates need bats, and I think he would be perfect for them. With the Orioles, you know, their outfield is pretty much good to go at this point. You got Tyler O'Neill, you got Colton Cowser, you got Cedric Mullins. Don't forget about Enrique Bradfield Jr. coming up behind him. So I think the Orioles would be fine without Heston Kjerstad. Now with Kjerstad, you can put him in the outfield. Brian Reynolds can go to first base. He's been taking reps at first base for a little while now, and Spencer Horwitz can just be your DH. The Pirates lineup would be a lot better at that point. So here's the deal that I have. Jared Jones going to the Orioles, Heston Kjerstad going to the Pirates, along with Chase McDermott, young pitcher, as well as an outfield prospect in Dylan Beavers. Dylan Beavers is the number 6 prospect. A good, well-rounded outfield prospect I think would be solid for the Pirates to get back here. And then we got Chase McDermott, the number 5 prospect. Big velocity, has a good slider as well. Just a good young pitcher for the Pirates to get back in place of Jared Jones. But everyone, those are my thoughts. Those are the trades that I would like to see. Tell me the trades that you would like to see down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of these trades. Give me your counter trades in the comments. I would love to see everything you got to say. But everyone, that's all I got for this video. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.